Welcome to episode 14. In this episode, we learn that Seabees are real. Yes, Seabees are real. If you are a Seabee, thank you for your service. And please don't be offended by this video. I continue showing these Lotería cards as we find them and how they add meaning to this game when you see them. We also learn just how incredibly fake Manny Calavera can make himself be. It's really incredible if you think of him as a real person, but I've already covered how Manny is based on the Mexican Day of the Dead personality, La Calavera Garbancera, the skeleton who betrays her bones by wearing expensive Western clothing. It's cultural appropriation. So we're appropriating a symbol of a mockery of Western-style cultural appropriation. Anyway, I can't quite decide if Manny is being a complete phony, or if by being a phony, he is actually being true to himself and true to his people and his ancestors. I will let you decide as you watch the video, and I welcome any comments you may have on this or any other issue. Let's take a break from all that heavy stuff and go down to the docks. This fish here could also be a signpost that we're going down to the fishing area at the docks. This elevator is nuts. Good thing he's already dead, because nobody living would survive that. And here, you can see some bees. You can see some sea bees, to be precise. No, this is not a reference to bumblebee tuna. These are a real thing. Sea bees are a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, sea bees are a division of the Navy. Their whole thing is to drop their tools and go to war. Their logo looks suspiciously like this little guy up here. This is the Seabee logo. I wish the flying animated Seabee logo wouldn't be right behind this pole so you can see him better. There he goes. Now you can see him.
These bees don't seem too busy.
Now that's stereotypical thinking. Bees are busy, clownfish are funny, quite speciesist.
Cold one, huh, Terry?
Yeah, it's always cold when you're unemployed, Manny.
Everywhere he goes, Manny just keeps on facing the terrifying specter of unemployment.
Who's unemployed? Aren't you guys in the union?
The union? They don't look after us little guys. They're run by the coppers. And you of all people should know, Manny, that the cops are in bed with the gambling joints.
This could be the biggest lie that Manny ever says.
Hey, I run an honest joint. We ain't in bed with nobody.
What about the protection money?
We pay every week. On the nose, through the nose, like an honest place should.
See what I mean? This town is just a big conga line of hustlers, all laughing and dancing and scratching each other's backs.
Wait, you mean the conga is not the name of a ship? Every other dance is the name of a ship.
Why aren't you guys up there working?
You don't know the deal down here on the docks, do you, Manny? If you want to get the jobs, you have to pay the unions extra dues. And that ain't cheap. We don't pay, and so they put us on barrel duty.
Oh look, another barrel. And as usual, it is just a nothing sitting there, can't do anything with it obstacle.
Why don't you just pay the union off then?
We got our pride, Manny. We're straight stingers, you know? Not to mention we just don't have any cash to spare now that we're not working. I mean, it's like a problem where, the solution, it makes the problem, worse.
Like a catch-22?
Yeah, wow. I wish I knew words like that.
These Seabees inexplicably like words from books. It's like there's a bit of a bookworm in those Seabees. I don't think Manny really wants to rile them up. Now what would a guy who wants to win like Steve win, a real adventure game capitalist, a capitalist Katrina, say to a bunch of honest guys trying to make a living honestly?
I think you're just a bunch of complainers.
You don't know what it's like,
I think he deserves
man.
four
Every day we
Katrinas
come
for that
down
one.
here, we try and make an honest living. We find out that you gotta be a crooked bee to win down here. He knocks the pollen out of you, man. He makes you weak.
So that's why Manny's crooked, because he likes to win. Honest people lose, crooked people like Manny win. He feels like a winner right now, I bet you.
If the union is crooked, why don't you register a complaint?
That's a good one, Manny. Did you hear that, guys? He thinks we should register a complaint.
Wait, I thought they liked complaining.
If the cops own the union, and gambling's in bed with the cops...
Yeah, and then who really runs the gambling, right? Well, no offense, but Maximino is really the big boy in town, obviously. But word is, he gets his orders from some hardcore gangsters in El Mero. Yeah, that fancy cat track is really just a big laundromat, if you get my drift.
So you know who is running the show.
Hey, can I borrow one of your union cards?
What, are you kidding? You know how much I had to pay Chow Chilla Charlie to get mine?
And that's how you get into the union.
Since you're not using your tools, think I could borrow them?
Well, we sold them to feed our families.
Lies.
How are you ever gonna work?
I told you things were messed up down here, Manny. I told you.
No. By definition, these guys were made from the land of the dead itself to throw down their tools and fight, not sell them to feed their families.
You bees are being exploited. You should do something about it.
Yeah, what can we do? We're just a handful of unorganized drones.
Organize me, organize me.
We don't know nothing about nothing except just how to take it on a chin.
I can't tolerate all this injustice. I'm leaving.
Things just aren't the way they should be down here, Manny. It's like the worker bees. They do all the work, but we can't affect it's like the way the things are produced should be controlled by, we should, forget it. I'm just a dumb, hungry, out-of-work bee.
He is so incredibly clear that what he wants are communist words. Well, Manny knows exactly where to find communists and words. Alright, break's over. Now we get into deep, serious, meaningful things again. Before we go in, there are 2 or 3 more things that I'd like to bring to your attention about the Blue Casket. I'm sure there's been lots of people who already noticed that the Blue Casket is based on the Blue Parrot. That's the other bar from Casablanca. The Blue Parrot was owned by this guy who looks a lot like Maximino. Or rather, I should say, it's one of the things that inspired Manny's Casablanca cosplay. But I'm the first person to notice that there is a link to a Lotería card here. The Lotería is a riddle-based game full of puns, and I've already found lots of them in my videos. The saying for the Parrot Lotería card is, lift up your paw and begin to talk, which is of course exactly what you do at open mic night. Given how many Lotería cards we found here, I do not think I am reading too much into it. Like Lotería, this game is heavily based on puns. Did you see the Seabees? But we're not here to read poetry right now. We're approaching the blue casket in its other function as the Red Tea House. That's where commies would gather to talk about communism. When I see an entrance like this, I still expect to hear Snake by Diva Destruction. And as soon as he comes in, he turns around. He doesn't want to be here. So these three individuals have the communist words that Manny is looking for.
But don't you see, when the government fades away, so will our troubles.
There is an anarchist,
Ah, nonsense. We will always need some armed force to fight off the return of capitalism.
a communist,
When we get rid of all the guns, that's when people will begin to self-police, and the public opinion alone will keep them from committing crimes.
and a remarkably anachronistic, didn't exist at this time, social justice warrior.
Hola, trust funders.
Hey, look who's making the scene. It's Manny Calavera.
So mean to him.
Up the down, the backside of the nouveau riche.
Beat it, dinner jacket. We're talking about things you wouldn't understand, like truth and beauty.
Do you think they're right? Do you think he's got no sense of truth or beauty? But he doesn't need those things because he's got liquid gold.
Well, maybe just a sip.
Who needs truth and beauty when you've got drinkable gold? As much fun as it is to drink gold at these people, it doesn't solve his lack of communist verbiage.
Buenas noches, comrades.
Hey, Manny, no offense, but we don't have time for establishment types like yourself.
What makes you guys think I'm so establishment?
You smell like bacon and oppression, man.
¿Qué?
So he's not a vegetarian? Or are they calling him a pig? It's a bit mysterious. I think Manny needs a drink to understand that. Yeah?
Well, maybe just a sip.
Maybe these guys will make more sense when you're drunk. He's back for more.
Hey, kids.
Sorry, Manny. No room for the bourgeois in our revolution. Yeah, man. No room for the big fat cat from the uptown party that didn't send our invitations to the working class.
You know, it looks like he's not taking any of this in. It looks like it's not really affecting him, but I think he's listening. I think he's taking it in. That doesn't mean a drink won't help. Huh? Where did it go?
Well, maybe just a sip. Hola.
What of it, Mr. Wheeler, Mr. Dealer, Mr. Loves the apples but hates the apple peeler?
Oh my god. That poem is so tremendously bad. It's no wonder that Manny needs another drink to get over it.
Hola.
Get a whiff of your privilege, your big belches of entitlement. I'd vomit, but there's no food in my belly, 'cause I won't play the man's game.
And here's the belch. How did they know about the belch? Somebody expected Manny to be drinking gold at these people. Think about that. Well, these guys like poetry, so maybe a poem would help. Maybe if he just said the right words, maybe then he can be one of these young fellows.
Looks like it's open mic night. Testing? Testing. Good evening. I like to read a poem.
Don't worry, I won't make it long. This time.
Everything nice.
So, this is a beatnik poetry generator. And if you've ever seen anything this good in any other video game, or even outside of a video game, please share a link because, wow, I have not found anything cooler than this.
Eating only spiders and leaves.
Confuse yourselves.
The end. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias.
He reverts to Spanish when he's not being fake. You never hear him be a phony in Spanish. But did the poem help any?
So, what did you think of the poem?
I liked it. It was sad and beautiful, like my mother.
I despised it. It was too short, said nothing to me, like my father.
I had no feelings about it. It was aloof and licked itself too much, like my cat, Mr. Trotsky.
This sounds a lot like a hint for a puzzle. It sounds like if you find the right words to please all three of them, that you can carry on. I made a lot of beatnik poetry the first time I played this game. Luckily, they don't repeat themselves over and over in the remastered version.
Hey, how about another poem?
Okay, everything mess. Eating only spiders and leaves. Confuse yourselves.
Did you see that? She had just ripped off Manny's poem.
Hey, you stole my poem.
Consider it an homage.
Her voice is so fantastic. She could even make any old nonsense sound good. And they applaud her.
Hey, how about another poem?
Okay, I called my cat Boney till she said it wouldn't do. I said, why? She said, sister, 'cause that's what I've been calling you.
And now these guys are gonna applaud a poem about Maximino's cat. That's the most bourgeoisie, spoiled thing you could possibly write a poem about in Rubacava. But when she does it, they will applaud.
That was great.
Yeah, but that's the last one.
But she does have some insight for Manny. The siren has a siren song just for him. Listen to what she says.
Well, catch you later, hip chick.
Keep practicing that lingo, man. You'll get it.
She tells this poor guy, who's as fake as he can be, to be even more fake. Manny is based on La Calavera Katrina, a mockery of somebody being fake. Betraying his bones is in his nature. And yet, he's gonna try harder. So let's do that.
More hip cats.
There he goes, practicing. So how's he doing?
Crazy.
So what's more ridiculous? Manny's lingo or her hat?
Hola.
I hear the driver of a station wagon, the owner of a pasta maker, the hollowed-out husk of a cat who remembers to button down his collar but forgets his brother in the street.
That's not nonsense poetry. That is a literal description of Manny Calavera. A skeleton is a hollow husk. It's just what it is. It's dead. It's empty. But I can speak the lingo too. How bizarre. They're fashion shaming him. It's so bizarre. All that lingo has not been helping him.
Hola.
Another visit from the ghost of capitalism, rattling the chains that restrains him, his umbilical cord to the almighty dollar.
And this time, they're only half right. He does look like a ghost. See? He looks very ghost-like. Especially with those black pants, it looks like he's just a ghost floating in the air. He's all white with big eye holes, just like a ghost. He's dead like a ghost. But he's not tied to capitalism. As hard as he worked, and as rich as he got, he'd hand it all over to the siren over there and he wouldn't look back.
You can have it. I'm leaving town.
He's about as tied to capitalism as he is to any other human being. Which is not at all. That sounds so depressing. I think he needs a drink, don't you?
Well, maybe just a sip.
More gold. That's the spirit. So I had this theory that the poetry generator is like two truths and a lie, that you can kind of pick the more honest option and something would happen.
Testing? Testing.
And this happened instead.
I'd like to read another poem.
And this makes no sense.
Unify. Rectify.
He's definitely severely touched.
I am severely touched.
I ache.
I knew I should have picked the pronouns.
I reach out.
And this makes no sense either.
My teeth. Wantingness. The end.
Of course they still hate his poetry.
Gracias. Muchísimas gracias.
It's just not possible to be honest.
Hola.
You put the man in Manny, and I say you get the cold shoulder bone from now on.
Hang on. Are they really shaming Manny for his gender? Don't worry, I'm not coming up here to read another poem. Just want to get a good look at him. Manny is based on a female Day of the Dead archetype. La Calavera Garbancera, female, and La Calavera Katrina, also female. If you've been watching my videos, you'd also know he's based on La Calavera, this female Lotería card, and he's also based on La Muerte. Now what happens if Katrina wears expensive male clothes? What happens if you dress La Muerte like this guy? And what gender is a skeleton anyway? Now, these otherwise woke individuals have insulted Manny's clothing. They insulted him for being empty on the inside, and they insulted the hard work that he puts in, probably in an attempt to cope with that fact. And he's so deeply in the closet he can't even defend himself. I think he needs more than a drink. Too bad you can't use
No
this.
room for that.
He can never be himself, not really. But he can sell himself out even more. He can sell out Salvador for popularity. He can be more fake, just like the siren said.
Hey, did I ever tell you guys that you remind me of my friend, Salvador Limones?
Salvador Limones is a fairy tale, a spook story the man tells the masses as he puts them to sleep.
Idiot! Salvador Limones is a very real and a very great man.
He also writes a mean letter.
What is this? I, Salvador Limones, salute you, Manuel Calavera.
A great ally in this noble revolution.
You really know Salvador Limones? What's he like?
Why didn't you tell us you were a freedom fighter, Manuel?
And now they're calling him Manuel, just like Salvador does.
I can't talk about my underground gig, man, where I put the whole scene in Dangerville.
Wow, heavy.
Hey, I've got a split, so, Viva la revolucion.
He's laying on the lingo
man.
so thick, and it's so atrocious, that it's easy to miss the word Dangerville and how accurately it describes what position he put Salvador in by talking about him in Olivia the Siren's Rip Your Head Off Siren club. He literally sold his friend out to the siren. He used the truth of his soul to sell himself out so he can borrow somebody else's communist
Would you
words.
guys mind if I dug on this book for a while?
Knock yourself out, brother.
Testing? Testing.
Now they're even gonna like his poetry.
I'd like to read another poem.
Now that he's got nothing real to say.
I'm not laughing out of joy. Can you hear me saying nothing?
You heard me.
The end.
We hear you, Daddy.
They think they hear him, but did they really, really hear him? I don't think they did. And that is how to make friends and influence people the Manny Calavera way. So this takes place in year 2 of Manny's life. In year 3, Manny tries on being himself for a costume. He actually seems to try and come out of the closet a little bit. But here, we see Manny at his best, most fake self. And when people cosplay Manny, see, people don't know Manny's connection to La Calavera Garbancera for the most part, but they seem to always pick Manny from year 2 when they want to cosplay Manny. Is this because on some level people know that in year 2 he's most real, most like himself? No one really wants to do year 1 or this Russian dressed version of Manny. Nobody does year 3 Manny, which is honestly my personal favorite. They picked this one, and I think that's because on some level, by being most fake, he's being most true to his bones, his ancestors, being these cartoon and this painting of a skeleton that tries to betray herself by overdressing in styles that don't belong to her. She appropriates Western culture and is mocked for it, like Manny himself here. So I realize this video probably doesn't have too many views or too many comments at this point. You can be first. But I'd urge you to actually be a supporter of my videos, because nobody has put on the internet yet without you can drink gold at these social justice warriors and they will comment on Manny's belch. That is an Easter egg that literally is not on the internet anywhere. It could be hiding in somebody else's playthrough, but if it is, it doesn't show up on a Google search. I do believe I can't be the only one who has thought to drink gold at the social justice warriors. And that's why you should share my video and subscribe for all the details like that. Thank you.